Sorry everyone, I had to move, my neck was hurting. So yeah, the third film I'm going to talk about is... It's The Vanishing. Now this is the Dutch original. And I must stress this, guys, if there is a American remake of it, if you're going to watch this, please make sure you watch the original before you watch the remake. The reason I say this is that The Vanishing, the original Vanishing, is known for its ending. If you ask a film buff to name top 10 films with the most the biggest twist endings, The Vanishing would probably come up. Some really disturbing climax, and the reason why I'm saying watch this before you watch the remake is because they had to change the ending in the remake because they felt the American audiences couldn't handle the climax in the original. So that's the reason why I'm saying do not watch the remake before you watch the original, because the remake, it gives away the ending and it kind of ruins it. It's a bit corny. But basically, onto The Vanishing. I think the reason why I find it really creepy is that now I'm not going to give. Basically, there's only one scary bit on this film, and that's the ending. And I won't give the ending away just in case you haven't seen it. But basically, it follows the story of a young Dutch couple, Rex and Saskia, and they're on holiday in France, and they're just coming home, and they stop off at a service station, and Saskia goes off to buy drinks and doesn't return to the car. Rex, the boyfriend, obviously starts to get a bit anxious, tries to find her, and then it gets to hours and hours and hours pass by, she hasn't turned up, and it becomes apparent that she's gone missing. And it's sort of like a flash sideways timeline. We are introduced to a man named Raymond, who is a chemistry teacher and a family man. Seems completely normal, which is a key part of the creepiness and disturbing nature of the film. He appears a completely normal family man who you'd see, your next door neighbour or anything, something like that. And we're introduced to his life. He's French and he lives in France. So we're introduced to these two sort of stories, and then about 3/4 of the way into the film, we are introduced 3 years later. Saskia still hasn't been found, and Rex has become obsessed with trying to find her because she hasn't been found. He wants to know whether she's alive or if she's dead, and it is revealed that she was kidnapped by Raymond, and he contacts Rex and says, I kidnapped your girlfriend and I'd like to meet you, I know what happened to her and all that. So they meet, so in the way the two stories sort of combine, and basically Raymond kind of makes like a deal with Rex in that he doesn't reveal anything about what happened to Saskia. He reveals details about how he kidnapped her, but he doesn't reveal anything after that, and he doesn't even tell her if she's alive or dead, basically anything that happened to her. But he tells him that the only way that he can find out what happened to her is if he goes through the exact same fate she did. And obviously Rex is faced with this dilemma of, if I don't choose to go through the same fate as her, I'll spend the rest of my life being paranoid and not ever knowing what happened to her or where she is, or whether she's still alive or whether she's still dead. Of course, because he has no idea about the fate, and he doesn't know whether she died from it, whether she survived from it, whether she's still alive or whether she's still dead. He's kind of faced this thing: if I choose to take the same fate as her, will I die? Will I not? eventually he decides to take the fate, to go for the same fate that she did, and what comes is when he realises the fate that she had, you are introduced to one of the most shocking endings ever in cinema. Now, obviously, I don't want to spoil the ending for people who haven't seen it, so I'll just call what happened to Rex X, if you like. So people who have seen it know what I'm talking about, and I won't be spoiling it for people who haven't seen it. But basically, for me, even though when X happened, it was really, really, really shocking and powerful and really, really scary. To me, that wasn't the scariest part of the film. What I found creepy and scary and really stuck with me is the fact that Raymond, how normal Raymond was, because he was just like a next door neighbour, or like one of your school teachers. In fact, he wasn't actually a school teacher. Actually, he was a chemistry teacher. How easily he managed to do it, and how he easily got away with it. And to be honest, the scene that sort of made me feel a bit uneasy about it is that at the very, very, very end of the film, it's after Rex realises what happened to Saskia, and obviously what's going to happen to him. The camera zooms past Raymond's face, and he's just sitting in his back garden with his family, looking completely calm, and almost looking at the camera saying, "You're next." Now, this film is really, really chilling, but to be honest, the only scary bit about the whole film is the climax. And I suppose that's good in a way, particularly having a scary climax, is because in a way we sort of forget, as the film goes on, we sort of forget that we're meant to be watching a scary film. In fact, there's no violence in this film. Well, there's a scene where Rex beats up Raymond, but it isn't exactly like Tarantino violence. There's no swearing in it, from what I can remember. If there is, it's very, very, very mild. There's no gore in it, so it almost presents itself. Basically, guy loses girl, and he's searching for a classic tale. He's going to find her in the end. So in a way, as the film progresses, we're sort of lulled into that false sense of a secure, nice boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy finds girl again film. So it kind of tricks us, which is really good. So when the climax happens, you're like, oh no. And I think like the main sort of gist of the film, it just shows how evil a person can possibly be. In fact, that's the main goal for Raymond. He explains to Rex in the car, is that what's the most evil thing I could possibly do? And I'm not trying to spoil it for you. He says, I wonder if I could create a fate worse than death. Now I won't say whether Rex dies or lives during his fate. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I just basically watch it, but you probably want to watch it with the lights on, and you probably won't want to trust ginger chemistry teachers afterwards. But it's a good film, and make sure you watch the original, not the remake. The original is called, on the net, I think, in a general consensus, because it's a Dutch film, it's called Spoelloos, or Spoelloos, which means traceless in Dutch. And really good acting, and yeah, so that's The Vanishing. Now the last song I'm going to talk about, I don't actually have it in hard copy. I thought I did, but I can't find it. But anyway, I guess I can just tell you the title. And yeah, okay, you're probably going to laugh at me, but I think this really sort of highlights the fact that factors like the situation you're in when you're watching it can really affect whether it scares you or not. Okay, and you're going to laugh at me, but this is probably the film that scared me the most after I watched it. And it's it's the Blair Witch Project. Now, okay, hear me out. and I'm going to talk, first of all, I'm going to talk about it in a general kind of film sense, and in a general sense, it is a really good scary film, and even though it was not the first like sort of found footage film. For example, we had the Cannibal Holocaust, which had gone in the early 80s in Italy. I think it was probably the first like mainstream, like fully, like supposedly found footage film. And talking about it just as it in the film as itself, it is a really good creepy film, and it does help with realism. Like for example, if you look at Paranormal Activity, which is like another sort of found footage film, the fact that it was in the house, and they were filming everything they were doing in the house, kind of sort of contradicts about realism. But the fact that these kids were out in the woods, they had to have their cameras with them all the time. It's good with realism. The fact that you, not to spoil anything, you don't ever see any evil, you just hear it off camera because they don't have good lighting, so they've got their cameras, they can't zoom in on all that. Now, referring back to the time when I saw it, I was 10, 11 when it was released, and you know, at that age, at 10, 11, you know, schoolyard stories, when it was released, everybody, all the kids at my school were saying, "Oh my god, have you seen it? It's real," and it was passed around the school and everyone was talking about it. And we weren't allowed to see it at the cinema because we were too young, but we managed to get a copy of it, and it was like I had a little sleepover, you know, girly sleepover, and we put it in, and I think because as a child, you know, I'd never seen a film like it before. I'd seen like loads of like sort of scary films, you could say, but it would always be like sort of monsters, and you know, I'd know there'd be like a director and there'd be like acting and lighting, nice lighting and all that. And yeah, if I'm honest, I've seen loads and loads of scary horror films. I'm a really big fan of the genre, but to be honest, if I think back, really the film that had the biggest effect on me was the Blair Witch Project, because you know, at the time, because I was at that age of, you know, school rumours, believing every single school rumour, and because I was with my friends and we sort of the atmosphere of everyone believing, convincing everyone it was real. Probably had the biggest effect on me. I actually did watch it back about a couple of years ago, and my opinion of it has reduced drastically. It didn't scare me half as much as what it did when I first saw it. But it is a really good scary film. It's a lot different to what had gone before. So yeah, this has been my top 4 scariest films I've ever seen, I guess. Obviously it is IMHO. You obviously don't have to have the same list as I do, but I would like to hear what films you find the scariest. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. And it's just gone past midnight now, so it is now Halloween. So happy Halloween, everyone. Stay safe, and yeah, it's getting late. Brain's fuzzled. I'm just going to sign off. Say bye, Margot. Margot says bye. Bye, everyone.